down here in Nigeria, talking about Senator John Owaneno, is very much optimistic of doing, great things. The man has actually said that Nigeria has the capacity to host the Commonwealth Games in 2030.
Of course, we do have the capacity in terms of manpower, but then do we have the facility? If we have youth level to the other talent, we've been able to allow them pass through the ranks, and for now we think they are good enough to represent the national flag of Nigeria out there in international competition. Then we can be rest assured that in the next all-African game, where with the likes of Egypt, but at least improving a little bit from what we saw in this year's all-African game, where we actually beat our best record so far of last time of amassing a 46 gold medal. I think this year we're able to lay hand to 47 gold medal. That is plus 1 gold medal in addition. So I think for me, early preparation is key, because if you want to have a successful outing to be able to compete with the likes of Egypt, who have over the years, when you talk about the all-African game, a world, they are on a world of their own as a stand, because every year by year you keep seeing that Egypt with him in that very one, that preparation.
4-6 to defeat by 14th seed Katrina Alexandrova of Russia. American world number 3 Kogov was stunned by French 23rd seed Caroline Garcia, who reached the last 8 in Miami for the first time for the 6-3, 1-6, 6-2.
Big name, taking a bow, bowing out of the competition, because of the fact that possibly, I think they failed to improve on their last outing. We saw Coco Gauff and Iga Swiatek in their last game, even before this very one, how impressive they were. At some point, we thought maybe Iga Swiatek is going to make it all the way to the final, but then it wasn't to be. So for me, I think so far this is, especially when it has to do with the WTA, there is always a massive competition. And even Coco Gauff, who for me, I expected her to at least do a little bit better compared to what she did, in the last game that we saw. As a totally a disappointing one for Coco Gauff.
Disappointing one for Coco Gauff as well. Kazakhstan would know after Russian opponent Anna Akaleskaya withdrew. American 50 Jessica Pegula progressed to the last 8 with a 7-6, 6-3 win over Emma Navarro, and will face Alexandra with an efficient straight set win over Italy Lorenzo Musetti. Spaniard Akaras, who is 20 years, of course, got that one in a 6-3, 6-2, and will play Poland Hubert Huskes or Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov next. Indian Welsh champs winning 2 prestigious American hardcore tournaments in the same season. What do you make of it, Akaras? Of course, having a huge target in this Miami Open.
Big one for Akaras out there. I think if he get to win this Sunshine double, it's going to be a very big one for him out there, because it's been a while that any player is able to win at least this double in the past. I think it's been up to 11 years down the line, if I'm not mistaken. So if we get to at least it was an impressive one, where you saw a little bit of improvement, is very one. But I think for me, he was able to put that behind him and time from going forward.
And so, of course, he continued with this fine form going forward. Australian Open champion Jannik Sinner and Russian Daniil Medvedev both also progressed with a straight set victories. Italy's Sinner, who is 32 years, won 6-4, 6-3 against Christopher O'Connor, while Medvedev defeated Denmark Kofa 7-6, 6-love. World number 3 Sinner, who triumphed in a first major final in Melbourne in January, will play Czech Tomas Machek for a semi-final hope at the 3rd round beat Italy.
So I think he was hosted out very early, which came as a shock to many out there, because we thought we was going to build on that Australian Open victory heading to the Indian Wells, but then it was quite disappointing for him that he was hosted out, very early in the competition. So I think this time in the Miami Open, he want to also consolidate on the fact that get back his mojo by making sure he does finish the Miami Open very well, and that is what we've seen. I think it was very, very clinical and very convincing results for him. Let's hope that he get to the final. Possibly, I'm looking at having Jannik Sinner, meeting of Carlos Alcaraz in the final, but then we still have other good players out there, like Danny Medvedev and the other two big names that is still left in the Miami Open. But then I think it was an impressive outing for Jannik Sinner.
Some breaking, there's some result, of course, popping in from the Miami Open as we speak, as Alex de Minaur, of course, has been defeated by Fabian Morazan. It ended in a 6-4, 6-love, 6-1 victory for Fabian Morazan. And Alexander Zverev, of course, got past the likes of Karen Khachanov, 6-1, 6-4. It ended in that particular encounter. In the female category as well, Maria Sakkari, of course, was beaten by Elena Rybakina, 7-5, 7-6, 6-4 in that encounter. Michael, Elena Rybakina taking out Maria Sakkari.
Great one. I think I didn't see this one coming, but then this is what it means. Maria Sakkari last time she was criticized a whole lot by some of her fans out there because of her not being very, very consistent over the past couple of months out there. So I believe with such a criticism coming from the fans out there, I think that has actually spurred her up to work on some of the areas of her game, and we are beginning to see the result of that. Of what she brings to the table, and that is why she was able to go past the opponent in this very one. Big congratulations to her.
Big congratulations to Elena Rybakina. And of course, the game between Caroline Garcia and Danielle Collins is on, and we'll look forward to see how that one, of course, will pan out at the end of the day. But at this point, we'll take a short break, and when we'll come back from this break, I'll bring you all that you need to know revolving around the football, especially that friendly encounter between the Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Malians. We'll be right back.
So now this is when they're at their best. And when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to Arthur. What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's a goal.
Stay Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we'll bring you the latest revolving around the water sports at the moment. It's time to talk football, and of course, we'll start with the Nigerian Women Football League as we saw March the 11th today. Really, of course, an impressive outing for some teams in different centers. Let's start, of course, from here in Rivers State, where Rivers Angels, of course, were able to get past Delta Queens by 1 goal to name, Michael.
It was a good one for Rivers Angels. It has always been a very difficult battle between Rivers and their the Delta Queens out there, because these are two strong sides. Whenever these two sides meet each other, it was always a very, very difficult counter for both sides. The slim margin of win that we saw today is a testament to that fact that it's always a very difficult game for them. Well, they were able to, fashion out a way to get all 3 points, which it was what matters most for me. I think Rivers and Angels have actually done well so far. Also, fighting so hard to make sure they finish very, very strong, and also to get clinch a ticket for at least the last playoff. I think it was an impressive display for them.
Impressive display, of course, for Rivers Angels, getting past Delta Queens, after they were beaten by Edo Queens in their last encounter. And talking about, Edo Queens, they actually had class Sunshine Stars as well. 4 goals to 2. It ended in that particular encounter in favor of Edo Queens once again.
Yes, Edo Queens is a force to be reckoned with. Edo Queens, Bayelsa Queens, these are teams that are very, very strong in the women football league here in the country. So anytime, any day, they can actually give you a run for your money, and that is what it means for you to have a very, very strong squad. Look at the players they have there. I think they boast of one of the best legs in the country so far. So I think for me, it was a big victory for them to also, push further, because they are neck to neck with Rivers Angels right now to see who is going to topple the table out there.
Robo Queens, of course, got past Ekiti Queens by 2 goals to nil, and Bayelsa Queens got past Remo Stars ladies by 3 goals to 1, and Natural Amazons, of course, goes past Dana ladies by 3 goals to 1. Heartland Queens, of course, this is a rental debut. You see, they beat Ambia Angels by 4 goals to 1. Heartland Queens, trying to do more than the male team down there in Owerri.
Yes, expectedly, because since the start of this season, the Women Football League, I think they have actually been doing a very impressive job for themselves. At some point, some of their fans out there in Owerri there, they were like saying it look as though they are going to draft some female player down to the main team, talking about the male team out there to be able to come and rescue them from the struggle. They've actually been struggling this season. So if you talk about the women team of the Heartland, I think they are doing pretty well so far this season. And for me, I think it's a big relief for them, looking at what the male counterpart is passing through out there. If they can't get any joy and happiness from their male team out there, then they also need to take solace and hope from what their female team is doing.
And of course, Aurora Queens played goalless against Confluence Queens, and Adamawa Queens beat Niger Ratus by 2 goals to 1. Of course, those are the latest results coming in from the Nigerian Women Football League March Day 11 encounter. But Michael, let's take a trip to Oyo now, as we hear there is a new coach in Oyo, and for Akwa United to say Mohamed Baba Ganaro. What do you make of him? He has the management of Akwa United. They've actually, of course, handed him an end-of-season contracts. You think, of course, he has what it takes to help Akwa United survive relegation.
Well, for me, looking at his CV out there, from what he's done over the years, I've actually gone through his profile, checked his background. He's one of the experienced coaches when you talk about local coaches here in the country. I think he has traveled far and wide, in the journey of trying to, make a difference in terms of coaching in the Nigerian Premier Football League. He's a coach that have garnered experience over the years. So for me, I think it's going to add a little bit of that experience to the Aqua United team that have actually struggled so far since the start of this season. I think for me, yeah, he has what it takes to be able to turn the team around and get Aqua United to at least a possible finish for so far, because they are outside of the title contention this season. Looking at where they are seated in the middle, in the table out there, Aqua United is outside of contending for the league. They are just struggling. They will struggle and battle to see if they can be able to finish very strong. So Baba Gana looks to be the Sam Allardyce of the EPL, where he is always good at coming to negotiate a contract for any team that is going down the relegation water at most every end of the season, the EPL, to be able to rescue such a team from going down to the relegation. So this is what we are expecting Baba Gana to do with Aqua United, who's for me it would be very, very disappointing if they actually head down to relegation. Looking at the fact that they are one of the best teams in the continent in the last 10 years, I think Aqua United, you can beat your heart and say, yes, they are actually one of the best because they just won the league in 2021. They've actually won the Confederations Cup as well, won so many laurels under the past.
It's a very, very difficult task to do, but from what we've seen so far, much confidence on Baba Ganaro. We hope, of course, we're able to rescue Aqua United from going down relegation this season. Impressive display from them in their last two encounters. Talking about Aqua United, the last game was very, very impressive. Getting an away win against Plateau United, and a lot of praise, of course, for the players and the management. Looking very, excited because of that performance, as it's time. Talking about the encounter, that game, of course, has been on the lips of everyone.
Fans to always come out and support their own, because they have made it as a point of duty for themselves out there. They are likened to the North African teams or fans out there. Whenever their clubs plays, they always come out in mass to be able to cheer their own to victory. So I think here in the country, it is only the Northerners that can boast of that. The reason for that, I don't know, but I think there is something that the clubs is actually doing differently, which I think we, on this part of the country, we are not doing. Possibly maybe in the area of trying to, be closer to the fans out there, try to carry the fans along, make them part and parcel of the team out there, try to do more publicity, more enlightenment. These are some of the things that can help to also endear the heart of the fans to their team out there. So whenever you play, I think it is something that you can not actually boast in this part of the nation or in this part of the country, that where you see fans turning out in their numbers to cheer their team to victory. I think we are yet to get there, but I think maybe with sensitization and a whole lot of things that the media teams of some of these clubs need to do before we can begin to see a change of narrative. But for now, I doubt if the fans is really back in the stadium to support their teams there.
All right, so keep our fingers crossed. You just mentioned Duma United down there, Michael, and we hear Duma United Football Club has officially announced the appointment of Coach Bala Abubakar Mohammed as the new technical advisor of the team. This decision comes as a strategic move to bolster the performance of the team for the remainder of the season. Bala Abubakar, Michael, you think he has what it takes, of course, to sustain Duma United? They've been very, very abysmal of recent.
Yeah, I think the coach has what it takes to add to what Duma United need at this point in time to be able to finish very strong in the league. I think Duma United, they are one of the clubs that started the season in a very, very fine footing. Doma United, Sporting Lagos, these two teams, I could remember very well. They started the season very, very well. At some point, we thought maybe there are some of the teams that is going to serve, maybe like the Bayern Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, who is trying to upstage the regular champion, which is Bayern Munich. So, but then as game continue to come along, as the season get along and continue to mature, it looks as though they've actually lost that grip the way they actually started the season. So they have actually been struggling, dropping points both home and away. So I think with the addition of this new coach, looking at his CV, is also a Johnny Goodfellow as well. He has also traversed across the length and breadth of here in the country in the course of, trying to discharge his, duty out there. So with his experience, I think he's going to add to what Doma United need at this, dying minute of the season to ensure that they finish very strong.
Let's talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They lost yesterday against Mali. And after that encounter, the coach of the side, interim manager Finidi George, said he was happy with the performance, all for his team. First, Michael, are you happy with the performance yesterday of the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
I'm not happy. And you asked me why. The reason being that I did not see a good kind of football I wanted to see yesterday. That fluidity is not there. That connection is not there. In transition, build up to last end of the game, you see very disjointed pattern of play. Of course, he was trying to build from the back, but it's very, very clear that I think he lacked what it takes at this point in time to be able to galvanize the team in the way and manner many Super Eagles fans and many football fans all over the world have been craving for. Where the Super Eagles will go back in the days when Super Eagles is marshalling out in the pitch of play. You see this cheer, you see this confidence, you see this excitement in the faces of fans out there because they know what the Super Eagles is going to do out there. So before we could say yes, we want to build up to that point where we become one of the strongest name in the world of football, I think we need to get a better coach and not Finidi George, because I look to help the team and not Finidi George. Let us do away with this he's our own, his local coach and all of that. Is that good enough to get the best out of the present players that we have in the national team to be able to bring Nigeria back in track where when we are talking about the 5th best countries in the world of football, Nigeria will be ranked among. Of course, in US 94 we got to that height where we were rated 5th in the world of football, where we seated 5th. What happened then till now that we are not making the difference? Something is certainly wrong somewhere, and I think for me, Finidi George is not that coach. Let's tell ourselves the truth. It's not that coach at this point in time that can be able to take the Super Eagles to El Dorado of football. We need to look for a foreign coach that can at least get the best out of the crops of players that we have right now.
Let's talk about the performance of the players. Moses Simon, we saw him, of course, throwing up some chances down there. And most of the players as well, not getting their passes, of course, correctly. What do you make of the performance of the players?
The players as well plays according to the instruction of the coach. Though sometimes as a professional, there are some ingredients that you need to add to the game. Or for example, you don't need a coach to tell you when you need to pass the ball. You don't need a coach to tell you that you don't need to hang on the ball too much to avoid injury, because this is an international break. As a professional, you don't need a coach to tell you when to give the pass at the right time. So these are things that some of the players need to take blame as well, but then it boils down to the total philosophy of the team, of the coach out there rather, because if you are dispossessed of the ball, what is the mentality of the coach toward the team? By telling the teams, if you get to lose the ball, close down on the next man, don't allow them that freedom and space to operate. This is why you look as though the then invincible Barcelona, the then invincible Arsenal, the now Manchester City of a football match, it is always attributed to a coach, whether positive or negative.
All right, let's keep our fingers crossed and see what the NFF would do. Would they hand over the job to Finidi George, or maybe give another manager the job of the Super Eagles of Nigeria? But we saw some other matches as well. Talking about the international friendlies, Zambia beats Malawi by 2-1. Cayman Island beats Moldova. They lost to Moldova by 4-1. Kenya beats Zimbabwe by 3-1. Uganda played 2-2 draw against Ghana, and Finland beats Estonia by 2-1. Latvia played 1-1 draw against Liechtenstein, and Hungary, of course, beats Kosovo by 2-0. Malta played Poland to Romania by 3-2. Ivory Coast got past Uruguay by 2-1. Senegal beats Benin Republic by 1-0. Austria beats Turkey by 6-1. England plays 2-draw against Belgium. Michael.
Very good game out there, but for me, I think England, there is a question. English national team presently, they boast of one of the best team in the world with the talent that they boast of right now. But then I think Gary Southgate, with a whole lot of arrays of stars within his disposal, it look as though that he played the other day against which country did they even play with? I remember where he actually lost against Brazil, where they lost that very one. Then this is a second game at your hometown, a second game where you were expected to build the confidence of the fans while waiting for the Euro. You had to struggle and get a 2-2 draw against a struggling Belgium that is not at their peak in the moment. Then he puts the question mark on, do Gary Southgate has what it takes to be able to take these crops of great players down to Euros and make a point out there. So for me, I think it has been a very disappointing one for the English national team for these two friendly games that have played, because looking at the high hope of the expectation of the fans out there, the English fans especially, where their medias most time they paint their players and their team as though they are one of the best in the world. But looking at the achievement over the past 50 years is nothing to write home about. I think Gary Southgate truly need to sit up if we want to take this team very far and win a major laurel after so many years. Then you need to be up and doing.
Germany also got past Netherlands by 2-1. Republic of Ireland lost to Switzerland by 1-0. Slovenia beats Portugal surprisingly down there by 2-0. Egypt lost to Croatia by 4-2. France